If you're struggling to keep track of all your buys, your favorite sites to go to, and all that kind of stuff, today's video is for you. I'm giving away my spreadsheets, all that I use to run my online arbitrage business, my buying sheet, my favorite site sheet, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you exactly how to set it up. If you want a free copy of that sheet, just look down below under the free section. It'll be the OA tracking spreadsheet. We're going to walk over to my computer. I'm going to walk you through how I use these sheets, why I use the sheets, and then how you can create this exact sheet and use it with my spreadsheets and get the free copy. It will all make sense, I promise, once you watch through the video. That might have sounded a little confusing. Without further ado, let's get into it. Let's get you organized, get your business on the right path, and just speed up your life. What is up, guys? So I am going to be walking you through the spreadsheet that I use in my business. This is really the crux of my business. This is how I have it set up. I'm going to show you exactly the sheets that I use in my business. You also could get a copy of this. You'll just have to do a file save as, but you will have to build the main sheet in SellerAMP, which I will show you how to do as well. I'm just going to kind of walk you through this first, and then I'll show you how to set it up. So I'll be looking up here because there's a bigger screen and it'd be easier for you guys to see. So there are a bunch of spreadsheets that I use in my business. I usually have them in a text file, and I just have them all hyperlinked. So the first one is my buy sheet, which basically is, I will show you in a second, but that's how I have a buy sheet, I have a out of stock sheet, I have a good for sale sheet, and then I have a Black Friday / holiday sheet. This just helps me stay organized and gets me on top of stuff. So when I am sourcing, I can make the most of it. A lot of the products you will come across may not be profitable now, or they might just be 10% away or 15% away. And if that item was on sale, it would work and be profitable. And you want to be capturing that when you are sourcing. So I made this sheet for you guys, so you guys could download this. Again, you're going to have to make this part of the sheet, which I will show you how to do in SellerAMP, and I'll show you how to use it. So for me, this is my sheet. Basically, right here, we have the date. This is the source. So this is the store that I am using to get going here. So basically, SellerAMP is populating all of this data. So I will give you an example here. So for the example, I use this Adidas shoe. So if I were to buy this shoe, I would head over to Amazon. I'm going to pretend I paid $50 for it. My sale price, so this is what I want to charge for it. So even if the buy box was $100 currently, I could put in $150 because that's what I want to charge for it. You could do that. And then what you would do is you take the URL. I would drop it in here. So it has this thing. And then for the buy sheet, this is the buy sheet I am using that I set up, and I will show you how to do that. And then you just hit that, and it populates right in here into your buy sheet. So all this information populates in there. So this is the main buy sheet, and usually what I do, I will copy and paste all the information. So I just do that and put it in my master sheet. And this sheet eventually serves as kind of the master, like this is like everything I've ever bought individually. And this one will be everything I've ever bought. So even if I'm buying it a couple times. So what I like to do is the source. So in this case, I'm going to do Adidas. The order number. So once I check out, I always put the order number in here. So Adidas shoes 100, whatever the store gives you. The product name. So SellerAMP grabs this for us. I just like to have this. It's searchable. This document is going to be super helpful because once you get a bunch of stuff in here, you'll just be able to source. So it has the ASIN, which is super important. This is also really helpful when you're going to list products because you have all the information you need. You have the Amazon URL. So if I bought 10 of these, I would just put the quantity in here. If you want to crush back to school season this year, FBA Drew will be live in the school community this Wednesday. We're going to be going over Keep a Product Finder, how to identify back to school opportunities, hot products to look for, how to find them in Keep a Product Finder, brands, categories, everything you need. Drew made over $43,000 in actual profit last back to school season. If you want to be part of this call, ask the questions, or even listen to the recording, join the Arbitrage Tactics School community. There'll be a link down below, and I hope to see you on the call. And then if I paid $50 a unit, SellerAMP captured that for me. So all you'd have to do here is do a little formula that I like to do. So you're going to do multiply by this. So now this is going to be the total sent. The target price, I already entered that. In SellerAMP, even though I put 150, that's fine. The potential profit, SellerAMP grabbed that as well, so I know exactly what I might make on it. I like to have my break even here. And then this next column is found. So I'd be like, so I like to put how I found this. Manual, Adidas, 30% off with coupon test. So I always kind of try to capture this information so I know when I go back that I need to get this at least 30% on sale. This is the ROI, so 50% ROI is that's what it is saying that we'll get. I like to get the average buy box price. Again, SellerAMP is pulling all this information for you. So for me, the more information, the better. I just like to see what the 90-day buy box price was. I also like to see the 90-day sales rank, estimated sales, the number of sellers. I like to see this because it also helps me know how many people were on this listing when I bought the product, when I sourced it. Because if I go to reprice, I could easily come back to this spreadsheet and be like, oh man, there's 10 people on this now. When I bought it, there was only one seller. So it just really helps me to kind of understand what happened if the listing is not going good. It is also good for replenishing. So if this was a good product that I wanted to buy again, let's say the seller count was at 10, and I would look back at this, I said, oh, when I bought it, there was only one. So the seller count is increasing. So I really just like that number. This note section, sometimes I'll put something similar like this in there, but I don't necessarily use it, but you can put whatever you want there. So this is the price at 20% ROI. If I want to get 20% ROI, I would have to list this at $82, and at 10%, it's $76. I just kind of like to see that. Also helps for repricing, just to kind of know what you are looking at there. And then this is probably my favorite part, this stuff here, the category, the image, which you don't really need it, but I just like to see visually, and the brand. So the reason I have the category, image, and the brand is when this sheet starts to fill up, it makes it super simple. So if Adidas is having a big sale, you could just sort the brand, and then you'll have all your Adidas listings that you bought from Adidas or wherever you bought them, and hopefully those are profitable. Same thing with the category. So for this, maybe you're on a different site or whatever, and they have, I don't know, 20% off Adidas sneakers or 20% off something else. You could easily search by the category. A better example would be like if Walmart sold Adidas and they're like, we have all clothing and shoes on sale. Well, you could sort the category clothing and shoes, and then you also have the cross-reference here of Adidas. So that's kind of what I capture. It's a lot of information. You don't need all the information, but if it could just be dumped in a spreadsheet, I say I'd rather have more than not. And this kind of just makes it super easy for me. This also makes it easy to keep track of my spending, how much I've spent so far in the day, the target price, just a lot of stuff. How I used to do this was just crazy. I would literally copy and paste everything. This is before SellerAMP. If you want a free trial of SellerAMP, there'll be a link down below under this for you. So that's what I like to capture. So that's kind of the first part. So what usually happens, we have the buy sheet, which we just talked about, and then I copy and paste this into the main sheet. What else is in the main sheet? So the important part of setting up this sheet, which I will show you how to do, is you want all these column heads to align. So you just want to make sure these are the same for every sheet, because usually I do a lot of copy and pasting. So for example, if this went really, really well, I'd probably add this to my current replen sheet. So on this sheet, I like to keep track of everything that is currently replenishable. It just gives me an extra eye on it. So what I would do if I was going to buy this again, so I buy it, it sells through, it goes well. It makes sense to buy again. So I'm going to drop this in the current replen list, because now this is a current replen and the date here is going to change. So let's say on 5/7 I decide to replen it after it sells through. That's what I'm going to put here, because in my head that's like, okay, that's the last time you bought this. And then you would just switch out your quantity, how many units, or the price, how much you spent, and all that kind of stuff. This stuff is not like super important as you go on over here. But again, we want to capture as much info and just make it easy to copy and paste. So hopefully eventually you will have a bunch of stuff in here that you could replen. And then once you aren't able to kind of replenish this anymore, I just kind of delete it. Or you could make another tab for like replens that doesn't make sense. I just really like having this doc because it's a great hub for me to kind of keep everything together. The next thing up is everyday sites. So this is kind of stuff where I put links to things that I want to look at every day. So a lot of sites I will look at every day, or there are certain searches. You could put Keepa searches in here. You could do all sorts of stuff. But for example, I put the site Nike. My notes is clothing sale. So if I click on this URL, this is going to take me to the direct link to the Nike clothing sale, everything they currently have on sale right now. And so it's just one less step than going to Nike, finding the sales, doing all this stuff. And when you go to these sites daily, you're going to start to notice patterns and stuff like that. So even you could put the home page, you could put whatever you want in here. Another example could be a Lego. So this just takes you right to the Lego sales and deals page. So you can kind of see everything that they have going on here, which is definitely just helpful. Just a quick link, just makes sense to do that kind of stuff. So that's that. This storefronts. So every once in a while, you will come across storefronts that have really good products, and you're going to want to capture them because they will definitely be sourcing other good stuff in the future, and you do not want to lose them. So this is just kind of how I do that. I have the name, the store name, the storefront, the seller ID, when I last checked it. So that could be via SellerAMP or manually. And then if you use tactical arbitrage, you could do reverse search in there. So I'd put the date of that as well. So what you would do here is I just pick Zappos because I didn't really want to burn a seller here. So we could just go to any listing here. This is how I kind of got to this. So SellerAMP is going to kind of pull up. Oh, there we go. All right. So you'll see here, Zappos is a seller. So you could either grab this in SellerAMP or you could grab it up there. But what you're looking to do is grab this right here. And that is their seller ID. And then you could either do for their storefront, you could, as we went back, you could just grab whatever. You could go from here, and then you could click Zappos. And then this is kind of their actual storefront. If you really wanted to, you could do something else. But this is kind of like all you need to know. And then also, if you are sourcing in SellerAMP, you could literally just kind of grab this URL, and then you could dump it in here. And then the last thing I will say about this is for the seller ID, I always put a comma after it, because if you could also search like seller IDs in Keepa, so basically what you would do is you could copy like all of these, and then you could drop them in Keepa and do like a Keepa product finder search, and everything has to be separated by commas in order to do multiple. So I always just put the comma in there. And then how this would work, if this, let's just say this seller was crushing Amazon, some of the stores you're going to come across, you're going to figure out who it might be, or maybe, you know, an influencer or whatever. So maybe if this was an influencer crushing Amazon on Instagram, I'd be like, oh, I found his storefront. And so I just put crushing Amazon. Or if I don't know the person, let's just say it was crushing Amazon, I just put DK, like don't know. But I put down why I like the storefront. So I'm like, oh, they have good shoes. So they source a lot of profitable shoes. That's why they're kind of on this list. And then you just kind of do the same thing up here. The next thing we have here is discounted gift cards. I love using discounted gift cards. So I just like to track them. I like to have the date I bought it, the store, the order number. And there's a video in the course section of the place I like to buy discounted gift cards. You could use Card Cookie, Card Cash, all that kind of stuff. The amount of the gift card, so this is kind of how much it is worth. The percentage off that I'm getting. So this gift card is $300. So that is my spend power on it, but I paid 3.6% less. So I just like to know the amount. I'll put the gift card number, the PIN number, if I used it. So if I use it, I'll just say yes, and the date that it's done. This way I know it is finished. And then if there's some left on the card, I'll just put some left on card. And then the date I used it and just how much is left in the notes. Just helps. You could also put in the notes, like if the gift card doesn't work or you need to try to get a refund, that is just helpful. Over here, ungates. So if you were getting ungated in brands, I like to just kind of, what I would do if I was getting ungated in this Adidas thing here, I just add it to the master buy sheet and then just drop it in here. This way I know it has all the order information, the source, all that good stuff. This way, if I ever got regated or something like that, I know the exact Amazon listing it was on, the order number, so I could go put this in my email, type it into Gmail or whatever email you use to pull that back up, or go to the site and pull that back up. This isn't super necessary, but it's just better to kind of have, and it's not that hard to do. Again, you're just copy and pasting. The next tab is sales. So while I'm sourcing, I like to kind of keep track of sales. This again is not necessary, but it is just good to know. So for example, I just went back through one of my sheets and I had on 11/6/23, Target started their Black Friday sales. So every once in a while, once this gets like kind of filled out, you could just kind of keep track, and then, you know, come October, or I'll be looking, okay, like what sales happened last year, what's coming up, or it's just good to note. Like a lot of Earth Day was just happened. A lot of stores had Earth Day sales, so you could just make notes of that. So when you are thinking about spending or, you know, buying or whatever, you could just have a list of things that maybe will happen. You could kind of source the sale early, do all that kind of stuff, and just some notes. So I like that. Lost and damaged. I definitely keep track of this. This is so hard to kind of keep track of if you don't do it as it happens. So for example, if these Adidas, let's just say they shorted me one, or one got lost. This is basically when you cannot salvage the item. So either Adidas won't give you the money back because they said they shipped 10, or your prep center said they only shipped 9, whatever. You have to take a loss of 1. So what I would do here is I'm taking this and then I'm just going into here and I'm just going to copy and paste, and then I keep the order date, and then for quantity, if 1 was lost, I just put 1 there, and now this will show me you have like a running tally here of how much you basically lost in inventory, and it's just super important to keep track of that stuff, especially when it comes to taxes, because you do not want to be, you lost money. You definitely want to keep track of that, and this could just be super hard too. I do this same thing with returns. If this, let's just say, Amazon sent me back a return, it's this, and it is unsellable. You could basically just go back here and just be like, put it in here. And instead of in the found column, what you could put the reason, which could be helpful later on because God forbid you ever got audited or something like that. You'd want to know. So, and you just forget, especially as you're sourcing. So for this one, I'd put Adidas shorted me one. And then for this, I would put like damage, return, unsellable. This way you just know what is going on, and then you can just kind of keep track of that. Let's just say one. And now you can see here real quickly, oh man, kind of issue here, right? One of these got returned, unsellable. Adidas shorted me one. Maybe you kind of rethink, buying from Adidas. This is just an example. I'm not saying they're bad to buy from or whatever, but it's just an example. And then same here. So if this order got canceled for whatever reason, I like to just bring them over here and get them off the buy sheet because technically you did not buy that and you do not want that to count towards your sourcing goal, and you just kind of want to be there. And another reason I like this here is to check to make sure you got refunded. Sometimes the website does not refund you and you have to go back, and it's just really easy to come to this cancel tab and go in and make sure you got refunded for everything that you were supposed to. So this is kind of my master tracker document that I use to kind of keep everything in track. You could definitely add or take away from this. Again, you could just make a copy of this, and you're going to want to put them into, I'll show you in a second, after you make this buy sheet, because this buy sheet is connected to SellerAMP. So what you're going to do here is we're going to show you how to make the buy sheet. Once you have the buy sheet, you're just going to add tabs like I did over here. And you could just copy what I put in here. So if this was the sheet you just set up, you do have to grab the top over here, because SellerAMP doesn't do that originally, but I would just put this, and then what I put here, current replens. So I would put current replens here. And then you could just do the same thing, copy and paste, and then you're good to go. And all your buys will start to not only populate it, or, hold that thought, my bad. Hold on. Actually, scrap that. I don't know what I was thinking. You just don't have to worry about this because we're using this sheet right here. Let's delete this. This is going to be your main sheet, and then we're copy and pasting into this sheet. So yeah, you could just use this here. If you do decide to change the headings and the stuff that you want in here, you will have to update that and make everything match. So let's go to SellerAMP, and I'm going to show you how to set this up, and then basically how to set up your other sheets that you're going to need, the out of stock, the sale, and the Black Friday holiday. So what you're going to do is you're going to go over to SellerAMP, you're going to go to sheets, and then you're going to go to setup. So I have a bunch of sheets here. Don't worry about this. This is the sheet that I created. So I'm going to edit this. So this is kind of what it looks like right here. So basically what you have here is all the different options that you could set up. So let me just drag this down. Make this a little smaller. All right. So this as well. So this is the buy sheet. All right. So this is kind of how it is set up. So you could definitely just, all you have to do is go down here and then switch everything up. So if you'll see here, this is the export date. So let me grab this off like that. There we go. All right, so the first thing we have up is export date, and then you'll see here that aligns with that column right there. We don't need to see the other part. So the source is empty, basically because we have to add this in manually. Order number is right here, empty because we have to add that. The product name, SellerAMP will add that for you. The ASIN, SellerAMP will add. Source URL, you're putting that in on Amazon, and we'll do a live example of that in a second. Same with this, Amazon URL. And then we have an empty space here because we have to enter the quantity ourselves, which is fine. The cost price right here. We enter that into SellerAMP, so that's the price per unit. Let me just kind of... All right, so that's the price per unit. Total spend is a blank because we did a little formula for that. So that's good. Target price, we don't have to worry about. That is actually sale price, but I put it in here as target price. So we enter that in SellerAMP. So they're capturing that. Potential profit is profit. Break even is break even. So that's kind of, if we sold it for 70, we'd make no money, but we wouldn't lose any money. How we found it, we're leaving that empty. ROI, SellerAMP drops in. Buy box, SellerAMP drops in as well. And you can see here, P lines up with P, Q lines up with Q. Just know if you make any changes to this, you're kind of gonna have to rearrange this as well. So that's kind of why it's really important to kind of get this set up how you want it set up originally, because once you start making changes, it gets really annoying and you have to just copy and paste all this different data. It's just a mess. So we got that, and then we kind of have all this other stuff, which you'll see here, and then the price, and then you have the brand, the image, the category. So that's kind of how you set this thing up, and that is how you set up this sheet right here. So this is your main buy sheet that you will be copy and pasting into here. So how does this kind of work? So once you have that set up, you're good to go. You want to hit save, even though we didn't change anything. And then you would just hit this open button and it would open it in your Google Drive. So the next part of this is, if what we want to do now is, once you make a new sheet now, it keeps all the columns you just set up in the previous sheet, which is super nice. So I'm going to make a new sheet right now. So you'll see everything is already in here that we already did. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to name this, what did I have this other one? I had an AAT buy sheet. So I'm going to put this AAT out of stock. So this is how it's going to appear on SellerAMP or on Amazon when you're looking at it. So we're going to save it like that. And then you're going to open this and you're just going to copy and paste whatever this says into and name that to Google Doc. We want to make another sheet. AAT, good for sales. So this is going to be the one, if you could get something on sale, you would drop it into there. And then we're going to make one more sheet. And you can make as many of these as you want. AAT Black Friday / holiday. We're going to save that. All right, so now you kind of have your 4 sheets here. You have the buy sheet, the out of stock sheet, the good for sale sheet, and the Black Friday holiday sheet. So now, if we go to SellerAMP or an Amazon listing, if we set this up correctly, here are all the sheets. So this is your buy sheet, your out of stock sheet, good for sales, and Black Friday sheet. So now you have individual Google Docs for each one of those. All you'd have to do is, if you open this, you again would just have to add the headers, which we already have in the other doc. So just kind of grab this. And then you just want to make sure they line up with what you opened. This way you know you're putting the right data in the right sheets. Oops. ATT. I think this is Black Friday holiday. And then you're good to go. Just to add stuff to this. So let's just say we store these Adidas shoes right here. And let's say the size 10. So let's just say our max cost on this, let's say they were right now, they're like $120. Doesn't really meet the ROI criteria we're looking for. But let's just say if, actually, let's just pretend we needed to get these for 100. This would work at 100, but they're 120. So we would need basically almost like a 20% off discount. So what you would do is you'd be like, I usually would put the price that it would be. So at 20% off, these would be $100. So this would work. So what you would do is go here. So I'd grab this. Is this the one? The tab? Yeah. So I'd go here, I'd hit save source. So what you could also do too, if you wanted to, you could add a note to this. So you could add need 20 or would be profitable with 20% off coupon. And you could hit save. And then we'd add this to the good for sale sheet. And then when Adidas runs a sale, we could easily go into that sheet. Let's see if this populated correctly. Yeah, that populated like that. You just have to go in here again, copy your headings. In the way here. I usually like to freeze the top as well, and then you could just add Adidas, and then the order you don't have an order number or any of that kind of stuff or quantity, but it's pulling in like the target price and everything you're kind of trying to do with that. And then it also you could just hit allow access and it will start to pull the image in as well. You have your note. So the day you added your note, and it says would be profitable. So whenever a sale happens, I have a big sheet like this, and I'm just going through and picking up. There's a sale. I'm like, what have I seen that if it was on sale, it would be good? And now you have a whole list of products when Adidas runs a sale. So that is a breakdown of basically how I run my sheet, my business. Again, you could just add definitely a lot of different things down here if you wanted to. But this is just how I've been doing it. It works for me. I really just kind of like the system. Again, you would have, and then I just have a list of all those other sheets we created, and I would check the out of stock stuff. If something is out of stock, I would kind of just check that every day or a couple times a week just to see if the stuff's back in stock. It's just how I stay organized. Let me know if you have any questions about this. Again, I will include this master sheet right here below, the SellerAMP info below. And yeah, I hope you found this helpful. and let's find some profitable products.